Sparking Change with Gigi, a show that aims to make the world a better place by bringing together authentic minds. This show encourages each of us to be the change we wish to see in the world. Get ready to be inspired and join us on this journey to create a brighter future for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sparking Change with Gigi. On today's show, we're going to be talking about mind matters. And one of the most important things that really matters is our thoughts, because our thoughts are things. And what I mean by that is our thoughts are the starting point of anything that we want to do and achieve. So today, I'd like to introduce to you my guest. He's a Napoleon Hill coach. And my colleague, Pablo Sanchez, who's going to help us to really get into deep and learning more about thoughts and how it truly affected his life, where he went from coming from Ecuador. Well, I'll let him tell you the story because it's a fantastic story. And with no further ado, here is Pablo. How are you, Pablo? Nice to have you on board today.
Thank you very, very much, Gigi. Thank you so much. I welcome the opportunity to share with you my story. As Gigi mentioned, my family came to the United States in 1974. And I would say that really it was my mother's thoughts back then that made everything happen. Because we're a family of 4 brothers and 2 sisters. So it was really impossible back then for the embassy to give visas to a family of 8. So, but my mom, she tells me as to how she made it happen, and it was all her thoughts and her beliefs. So I think I have a lot of these things coming from my mother's side. My mom is a true believer, and she has been kind of practicing the principles, but without really knowing it. And I think I have been doing the same thing without knowing it myself.
Yes.
Now, when I came to the United States, one of the things that happened is my older brother joined the United States Marine Corps, and he came out as the honor man. He came home wearing that dress blue uniform. That dress blue uniform means that you were the absolute best, the absolute best. There's an honor man. There's only one particular platoon. So I said, I want to be like him. I want to be like him. So I joined the Marine Corps. But I did not do as well as he did. And before you know it, but I did have in mind that I wanted to be the grand old man of the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps was going to be my choice for life. I was going to retire then. I was going to be an example to the world. But what you want and what God says you're going to do are 2 different things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because what happens is I ended up in a car accident. I lost half of my left elbow. And next thing you know, and I could have been decapitated. So I know I'm alive right now because God wanted me to do the show for now. And there's a lot of other things that I have done. But here the car rolled over. I covered myself. And I have a piece of my back that went, and I lost half of my left elbow. That's what happened to me. So I had to start all over again. So coming back, the first thing I wanted to do was go back to school. So I went to Baruch College. Baruch College is known as the UCLA of New York. Now, Gigi asked me, why is it known as the UCLA of New York?
Why? I will tell you that it is very familiar to me because when I wanted to be an accountant, that was one of the colleges I looked at.
Yes, no.
Way long time ago, but go ahead.
My inside joke is that UCLA of New York is because it is the university in the corner of Lexington Avenue.
I love that. I love it.
But now, what happens here is this is back in 1980. I still had a very strong accent. And I believe that I started myself with my thoughts. I became who I am right now. Because
I,
think about this. Back then, it was the big eight accounting firms. And here you
yes.
have somebody, a Latino with a heavy accent that wants to join one of the big eight accounting firms. Now, what I
Price
did,
Waterhouse, those firms,
yes,
right?
back
Yeah.
then it was the big eight.
Yep.
And what I did is I said I was gonna be one of the big eight accounting firms, and I did not care. That's what I was gonna do. Of course, I had aces in all of my classes. I was vice president of Beta Alpha Psi. I did everything that I had to do. So I really prepared myself for this. Now, it so happens that because I'm a vice president of Beta Alpha Psi, I get the invitations to interview with them, and I did receive offers from all eight of them. Now,
Beautiful.
I have to tell you is that the thing is that I was focused. That's what I wanted.
What I
Now,
see that you are saying is that you planted the seed in your mind before it actually happened with the thoughts of what you wanted. Because thoughts are like planting seeds in your mind, right? A friend of mine, Ahmed, he says, we're planting in the garden. You know, the garden is our mind, and we're planting the thoughts in the garden of our mind. But that's what you did, essentially.
exactly. That's what I said. You know, I was doing, and I didn't know I was using the law, but that's what I did, and I was not going to accept anything else. Would you believe it? Somebody that's going to getting ready to graduate, and I'm not applying for any of the Fortune 500 companies. Nothing. I wanted to be a CPA, and I wanted to work for one of the big eight accounting firms, and that's what I did. And I did receive my offer before I graduated. So the rest of my time I spent helping my friends getting jobs. And my friends, they remember very well that how we did that thing. Completely amazing, completely amazing. But
Beautiful.
that's one thing, right? Then I started after I graduated. I started working with Arthur Anderson, KPMG, Merrill Lynch. I did everything, always in the
Yeah.
financial service industry. Now, kind of another story as to what you have plans and what God has for you are two different things. It happened to me again. Um, what happens is a law comes out in New York, whereas if you're going to prepare income taxes, you need to have a license. You need to have a license. And a lot of people that prepare tax in New York, they do not have a license. And since I have spent my time fixing their problems, I knew that this market was mine for the take.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got this huge office. I back then Mayor Bloomberg's chef came to do the inauguration for my company, and then
Wow.
I had everything going on. So I had this beautiful place. But what happens is just before the income tax season is going to start, they that these people that prepare taxes, they gathered together. They took everything to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says is that wait a moment, these guys that prepare taxes are not under your jurisdiction. You do not have a license any of them. So they reversed everything. They
Wow.
reversed the law, and I was left with a huge office, doors wide open, and a huge investment. Then I had to realize that, maybe I had the license and I had the money to do all of that,
Yeah.
but the one thing I forgot to do is I forgot to ask God to help me. I forgot to ask God to help me. I had everything. The laws was there, everything was there for me to take, but I did not ask God. And because of that, now I control my ego and I tell everyone this story because you cannot do anything without asking God. Even the smallest thing, always ask God, and your life will change for everything. And that's when we start thinking everything else.
Well,
So, so
you
then,
said something. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go finish your story. I apologize.
then I start my accounting firm, and everything is going fine. And then I try going back to my Wall Street job, and I couldn't do it. So then
Hmm.
I had to say, God, let your will be done. I accepted it. And next thing you know, my whole life turned around. And long story short, during the pandemic, the PPP loans. Well, long story short, Trump was giving the money, those PPP loans to Republican states, primarily Florida. New York was not getting any of that money. But I stayed, I was persistent, and I got away, and I was able to get over $85 million for my clients, right?
Wow.
So all is good. But now, when I was servicing these clients, I was not over there for my commission, any of those things. I was doing it from my heart. I can have one of my clients that's sitting right here, and they ask me, what do you know? Nothing. Just pray for me. Just pray for me. And next thing you know, just before I started here with Napoleon Hill, I'm talking to Cleona O'Hara, our CEO.
Hmm.
And, I'm saying, Cleona, out of nowhere, well, out of nowhere, I get this job offer, but it wasn't out of nowhere. I'm going to tell the story. Do I have time to tell you this quick story?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Uh, this is I have this lady that's calling me. This lady, I used to know her as the controller for a company that I used to audit, and then next you know, she moved on to sell insurance. Now she's calling me. Now it's raining in New York for 3 days straight, and she's calling me. The call her back. I didn't even have her on my telephone, so I just put a name there. Called me back. And then she keeps calling me back 3 times. And it is raining here in New York. So now I'm seeing who it is. And I said, oh, now she's doing recruiting. And she probably, what she needs is a resume to feed on to someone to say, yeah, I have a qualified candidates for you. But so then I said, Then I thought about a joke, right, about Maria. Maria, she's a devout Christian. She goes to the church all the time. Next thing you know, the levees break, and the first thing that happens, the firemen go over there. Maria, the levees just broke. The water's rising. Come on, let's go. You gotta get out of here. She says, no. God will help me. I'm not gonna go there. Next thing you know, the water keeps rising. They eventually send a helicopter over there to get Maria out. Maria, no. God will save me. Forget about it, right? Next thing you know, Maria dies. She goes up there. She first complains, it's Maria. When it first happened, I sent the fireman. They even sent a helicopter. So now I took that little joke to myself, and I said, "Wait a moment. How's about if this is really my calling, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing?" So this is a company that's high-end technology, and I have two brothers that are computer engineers, and they're in that field. So I called them up and I said, "This is what's going on." He says, "Pablo, does a company of the future. Go for it." I went in there as if thought that job was mine. I got the job, and next thing you know, the money's coming in like without even me asking for it. Turns out that's right now that's one of my clients, but this is some big money. And then I'm telling this to Cleona. Says, Cleona, pues says, Pablo, look at what Napoleon Hill says. Is when the money starts coming in, you're going to wonder where that money was all the time. And so I was doing, like I said, with my mother, right? My mother was doing everything, probably manifesting, probably because she was going the extra mile with everybody, not going for the money, but I was just servicing people. I just love to serve, and that's what it was. And now here I am, I'm getting paid. So I believe that all the money that I should have been collecting or charging, now I'm getting it with retro pay and everything else in there.
Yeah.
Amazing. And so this kind of goes straight into what we're talking about, your thoughts and how it is that you can manifest that next job, how your thoughts can actually make everything happen. Now, I'll tell you one last one, okay? This is myself doing things without knowing. I next you know, get married and then have an apartment. It's an apartment. And I start buying furniture for the patio. I bought patio furniture. And I'm like, and then I also bought a bar. Next thing you know, 2 months later, I was paying less for my mortgage than what I was paying for the rent because I was renting the basement now and doing everything. And the patio furniture is in my house right now.
So
So
beautiful.
everything is about our desire, which is what Napoleon Hill talks about. It's about
Absolutely.
a definitive purpose of what it is that you want, and then there's a power of changing our thoughts, aligning our thoughts with our desires, which is I think is exactly what I did. But
Absolutely. And we know that the starting point of anything begins with a thought. And when we have a thought, we set up, we can define what our definite purpose is, and then go towards our chief aim purpose, right? So you've done that exactly because your story is perfectly aligned with you preconditioned your mind before, and you did it when you went into the Navy. You did it when you came here from Ecuador, unconsciously, not even knowing that you made a decision, which is, again, the starting point of everything we do in life. It starts with a decision. And then you took action. You didn't go back and you didn't have doubts like, oh, I'm not going to work for you made that commitment to yourself, almost like, it's a command. You gave yourself a command, basically, and you followed your own command. And I have to say that any one of us can do that, right? But it takes discipline, it takes commitment, persistence, everything that you literally did it without knowing that you did it.
that is correct. And what it says is that your belief actually creates your reality. And it's really amazing. So when we talk about this, right? We're talking about thoughts, right? As you said, we have thousands of thoughts coming into our minds, and then we really need to. What Reverend Ike says is that thinking is an inside job.
It
It's like,
is.
it
It
is an
is.
it is an inside
Perfect.
job. You receive seeds that will prosper you, or they will send you to the poorhouse. You choose where do you want to go. You choose, Pablo. Where do you want to go? You want to go to the penthouse over there, or do you want to go to the poorhouse? What do you want, Pablo? That's Reverend Ike talking to me. Talking to me. What do you want, Pablo? I want the penthouse. I want the penthouse. Then you have to leave those poor thoughts behind. Don't
Yeah.
ever pay attention to them anymore, and let's just talk about how we're going to prosper ourselves. Okay, let's talk about that. And then Reverend Ike is so good, yeah,
Yeah.
and he follows everything that Napoleon Hill says, because the very next thing that he says is that in order for us to make things happen to us, to make that desire become a reality, we have to use auto suggestions.
Yes.
What
Yes.
auto suggestions? Our auto suggestions, in other words, you could say it's a form of prayer, right?
Yes.
But it's not just an auto suggestion like that. Now you have to change it. That auto suggestion, that dream that you have, has to have a definitive purpose. Okay, you have to have your own personal initiative, and you have to take action through a well organized plan. That's how you make things happen. It's not just
Absolutely.
it's not just well wishes. I wish I had this. No, because that's exactly what it is. A wish, and the wish will stay on the shelf. Okay, you want something to happen, you have to have a definitive purpose as to what it is that you want. And as you know very well, we have to set a definitive time to quantify it. Tell me how much it is that you want. Tell me how much it is that you want, right? So your attention is controlled, and you know exactly what you want. Now, what Reverend Knight says is, now you have your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is right here.
Before we get into this conscious mind, because this is a good one, okay, let's take a short break, and then we're going to come back and talk about, because that is so important, as everything comes from there. Your thoughts literally come from your beliefs. And so just hold that thought, and we'll come right back. We're going to take a quick commercial break.
What is it that you desire more than anything? What is it that you really want? What is the formula for overflowing abundance? As the sun rises over New York City, the cityscape is bathed in a golden glow. The Gilded Age was a time of unprecedented wealth and opulence, as the elite built towering skyscrapers and ornate mansions that were the envy of the world. Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest men of his generation, would one day meet a young man named Napoleon Hill, who went on to become one of the most influential thinkers of the era and author of Think and Grow Rich, Changing the World Forever.
Here's Reverend Ike. Reverend Ike, what is your message?
I have retranslated that portion of the Bible that says the love of money is the root of all evil to read the lack of money is the root of all evil.
I'll ask you each this question, beginning with you, Reverend Ike. How is it that man can have the healing power?
I teach each person that the presence of God, the presence of good, whatever you call God, is within you.
Somewhere out there, watching on television right now, there's a man, there's a woman, there's a boy, there's a girl listening to me. And we're here to tell you today that if you believe, God will work a miracle for you.
The Prosperity Summit will be the catalyst for the achievement and earned riches you've been waiting for. Learn from the masters and expect abundance.
How appropriate that you brought Reverend Ike right there.
Well, you mentioned his name. I might as well play the commercial. But I will say that, just before we continue, today is the last day that people can watch the replays from the summit that occurred last week. So take advantage of it if you haven't had a chance to watch it. But yeah, let's talk about Reverend Ike, because I know he impacted so many lives, and he continues to do that today with his message that, we're never alone, right? With God within us, and we connect and stay connected and ask for help, we can achieve anything we want to in life. And the lack of limitation are only thoughts that we plant in our mind or beliefs that we inherited from our environment that prevent us from really achieving our goals. And this is really what we're trying to say today, is that if you can master your thoughts, you can achieve success in whatever you want to accomplish.
That's perfectly said. Now, I'm just going to introduce James Allen real quick. James Allen, as a man thinketh.
Yes.
Right? He says, that a man is literally what he thinks, his character being the complete sum of all his thoughts. So there's a point right there where you can actually consider what your chief aim in life is going to be. You make it there, and then you start seeing yourself, well, how can I get there? And then that's where this special sauce kicks in, right?
Yeah.
What we're talking about is the mastery and self-control of your thoughts and feelings is the higher achievement that you can ever receive, that you can ever get. The biggest achievement. Nothing can beat that. So now, what I have learned is that there are two ways to master your thoughts, right? We have to look at our conscious mind. This is us right here. This is our conscious mind. Then we have a sleepy guy over there called the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the believer. Repeat after me. The subconscious mind is the believer.
The subconscious mind is the believer. That's right.
Whatever I can impress on that subconscious mind is going to believe.
That's right.
Now, the bridge between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is your imagination. Is your imagination. You see the painting behind me? That's a beautiful picture. That's a huge imagination. It goes through decades, right? The imagination. Let's talk about a desire that you have, a desire for money, for wealth, for love, any desire that you want. What you have to do is your conscious mind is going to talk to your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind, you're going to tell it, what exactly you want. You're going to tell it what color you want. You're going to be as specific as you can. You really visualizing this whole thing as happening, right? Then after you do that, once you do that, it's like you're coming into an agreement with your subconscious mind as to what that desire is. Now, let's say if it's money that you want, right? Now, it's a give and take thing. So you have to like tell God, if you give me this $50,000 a month that I'm asking for, I'm gonna have 5 people working for me, and the money is gonna go over there for them. So yes, I'm helping myself, but I'm helping other people as well. That's one way. If you want to find the love of your life, what happened to me with the love of my life, I before it happened, I can say that I do not recall anybody telling me, but in a dream, somebody came to me and said, Pablo, just, well, I'll tell you the story. After I finished working one weekend and I had made thousands of dollars, I went to the apartment, an empty apartment, and I just had a fight with God. I threw the money up in there and I started yelling and yelling and crying. I was crying. I was, God, what good is this for me to have all this money if I cannot share it with someone? And next thing you know, the dream came. The lady said to me that, Pablo, you need to have a little bit more patience because God says that this woman, she has kneeling down, waiting for you. She's asking for you, but she's not ready yet. Calm down. Next
I'm about to cry right now. That's such a good story.
When the lady walked into my office on August 2nd, 2017, I saw her. I knew who she was. I said, look, I have to do a closing a few blocks up. It's a great steakhouse. Why don't you join me? Pop, pop, pop. Next thing you know, she agrees. And on the way over, she tells me, I'm single, pop, pop, pop. Then I walk into the restaurant and I said, look, I have never brought a lady here to this place before. So if I get close to kiss you, and I took her and I kissed her right there and then. 25 minutes after I met her, I kissed her and she corresponded to me like as if thought, I was it. And that's what it was. Next thing you know, there's a lawyer in front of me and the lawyer says, picture, picture, picture. So then another picture with a kiss, another picture with a kiss. And next thing you know, here we are 6 years later
I love that story. It's terrific.
Even for love, your thoughts, you can attract everything that you want. Everything that you want, okay? So getting back to my subconscious mind, so you come to an agreement with what exactly you want. And then what happens is you come out of that dream and you start living as if though you already have it. It's yours. It's yours. There's one thing right here that you have to understand. If you have a desire that came to your mind, that desire came from God. That desire came from God. You're one in one with God. And you have the right to go and ask him, God, I was all nice and quiet. I didn't have to do any of this thing. But you put that dream, that desire in my mind, so now I demand that you give it to me. That lady that you put in my mind, I want her. I want her. That job that you put in my mind, I want that. Whatever.
And like you said before, the secret ingredients is believing and having faith that you can have it. But when we are in fear, when we have doubt and worry, we stop that flow of receiving the messages, the people, the resources that we need in order to accomplish that desire.
That is so correct, and that's we can have a nice conversation on that as well. Now, so God says whatever desires come in has already been created. It is your faith would make it into a reality. Okay, and that's where everything kicks in, and that's what we're talking about. That it is an inside job. It is an inside job because your thoughts be coming in. You have positive thoughts, negative thoughts. You know, as I said, what do you want? You want the negative thoughts are just going to be negative as they are, right? You want to be healthy. Think of positive thoughts. You think, oh my God, I got up with this headache and my back hurts. And then go the other way. You're wasting your time. So if you start thinking positive thoughts, those positive thoughts will energize. And then once again, if you stay focused with what your planning life is, what you want, it will happen. So
I will share that, my own quick story of I was working in banking, corporate America, and my son, at 8 years old, developed petite mouth, and I needed help from the teachers, in third grade. And his fourth grade teacher was truly the beacon of light for me to know that I was in the wrong place. I needed to be helping other parents whose children were going through hardship, with whatever conditions in school and having a hard time. And so here I go. I made a decision and I said, I'm going to be a special ed teacher. I came home. And my husband goes, how are we going to do that? You're cutting your salary in half, and, corporate America and school, it's just two different pay scales. And I'm like, I don't know, but God's going to help me. But I am going to start focusing on being a teacher. So I went back to school at night, and I went to get my second master's in education, and I became a special ed teacher for kids with autism, and it was the most rewarding job. And then after that job, God gave me opportunities to work in agencies and work with kids, and I made more money than I was making before in corporate. So, having that faith and believing that when things come to you, they're meant for you. It's exactly that. Through my journey, realizing that through, I don't want to say pain and suffering, but I'm going to say pain and suffering because it wasn't, easy to go through that journey. I saw the benefit of it. I saw the light of where I needed to be. Right? There's always, with every seed of adversity, there's a greater reward from it. And that's exactly what I experienced with that particular situation. And then also with my health. Knowing that I'm a cancer survivor, but from that led me to be here. And now I'm giving more of myself. So, like your incident with the car accident in your arm, you got another opportunity that was greater, right, to see. And I'm so grateful because this is where our thoughts can either lead us in the direction that we're meant to lead, if we're controlling our thoughts. And I know it's not easy, but it can be done. So it can either take you to the path that you're meant to be on, giving faith and persistence, right? And believing in yourself and having God lead the way, surrendering, or fighting it and then, not seeing where you're supposed to be and finding your true purpose. So, I love what you said, and I just had to bring out my story because we all have similar stories, and we all, experience struggles or hardship and adversity in life. But where are our thoughts taking us? And we have the choice to direct and redirect those thoughts in the direction that we're meant to be, right?
Yes,
where we want to be.
Yes, what Napoleon Hill says, and when Cleon O'Hara gave me this pin, it says, positive mental attitude. Positive mental attitude, my friend, That's what you're aiming for. That's what you're aiming for. If you consider in the past anything that you thought that you dreamt about, next you know it happened. It did not just happen like that. You probably had that thought a while ago, and you were working and working, and next thing you know, it appears. So when it appears, you find out it's like, wow. So you do have the power within you. Think about it all the time. Think about somebody when you're thinking about somebody, and next thing you know, boom, there's a telephone call. They're calling you.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about you. It's the law of attraction. You're vibrating at the same and the same level. It's completely amazing what you find out when you actually have your purpose to actually master your thoughts.
Well,
Right?
see, with thoughts comes your feelings, and your feelings comes at the vibration level that you're at, right? So if we have good feelings, and we're, with good thoughts, we're vibrating at a high frequency, and that's when things start to really manifest.
Completely. And but in order to, once again, going into this thing, conscious mind telling the subconscious mind what exactly you want, and then working and working, and next thing you know, you're vibrating up there, and next thing you know, if it's what happens is if you have this burning desire, what you have is you do not have a moment for negative thought. There's no negative thoughts. It's just positive thoughts. And next thing you know, you wake up in the morning and you know what you want to do. Oh my God! Oh my God! You wake up already. Things it's like as if thought I'm late already, and that's the desire that you want behind anything that you really want. And anybody that's listening right now, they if you start to think as to at times in your past that you have done this, that's to show you that yes, you can manifest it. Yes, this is true. You can definitely do this. Now, I'm just gonna go back a little bit because when you mentioned Andrew Carnegie right here and how it is that I believed in Think and Grow Rich is because I read up on Carnegie, and next you know, the guy was a billionaire. He was an immigrant also, working in the mills in Pennsylvania. And next thing you know, he became the millionaire, and we can talk about that. But what I want to share with you is that Mr. Carnegie, right? What he did is he shared with us what he did, and what he said is everything that I did came from the books. Back then in the 1800s, all he was is reading, and what he did is he wanted every single one of us to have the same ability to able to read a book and find out anything that you want. So he created over 3,000 public libraries throughout the world.
Yes.
Okay, so to me, here's somebody that did not have any self-interest because he was already a billionaire, and then he goes into with Napoleon Hill, and he gets him into working for 25 years writing this book without any compensation. His compensation is really the fact that he's serving other people, which is my compensation right now, to teach these principles to other people. That's the only
what we're doing right here.
So when I look at this stage, because there's a lot of other self-help books, so on and so forth, but that's to me, this is the real thing. When you start looking at other folks, Bob Proctor, right? Every single day, he had his Bible. His Bible was Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah,
Think and Grow Rich everywhere.
30 years he read it, right? Every day.
Every single day. He was always rereading it. Tony Robbins, same thing. Anybody that's big, they have all worked with Napoleon Hill's literature.
Oprah Winfrey, Kobe Bryant. There's so many.
Everybody has done
But so let's make it clear though. It's reading it and applying what you're reading to your daily life. Like you applied it without even knowing you were applying some of the principles, right? And that's why you find yourself where you are here today.
I tell you one other short story, because now that I started reading and everything, And then I was working with Joseph Rodriguez. I'm listening to him because he is a master of all of Napoleon Hill's writings. And he says, really, all you need is an idea.
Everything.
Everything else will come into place. Oh, I have to tell you 2 stories.
Let's take a quick short break, and we're going to come right back. Okay, we'll be right back. I'm going to listen to your stories. Okay, let's do it.
You're right. So this is the first one. For 15 years, I have been taking my laundry to the same laundromat. One day I walk in there and the lady says, I see that she's a little sad. The lady that folds my laundry says, Tomasita, one day I'm going to buy a laundromat and we're going to work together. And one of the second time, same thing. Tomasita, one day I'm going to buy a laundromat and we're going to work together. The third time I goes there, Tomasita says, Mr. Sanchez, they're selling this laundromat. So it so happens that at that time, my Bitcoins were going down. So I might as well sell them and keep my promise. I sold them, kept my promise. Now I own the laundromat.
Wow. But you're right. You planted the seed, right? You planted the seed.
Yeah. And then another one, like I said, Joseph Rodriguez, I'm listening to him and he says, all you need is one idea and then the rest is then you combine. You do not necessarily, you could just offer your service and that's it. Next you know, this guy that used to be a client of mine, he was a dog grooming, he had a dog grooming places, but during COVID he left and then came back. He wants to start again, but he doesn't have the capital. So I enter into the deal with him. I put the capital in there. So now I'm the owner of a dog grooming place. It will be open in 2 weeks.
Wow. Good.
It's also another thing that Napoleon Hill says is that you have to be able to make decisions quickly. You have to be able to make decisions quickly. If you make those decisions quickly, then you will, next thing you know, before you know it, you're going to be reaping all what you sow. So it's completely.
You take action quickly, right? When you get that, let's talk about, when you get thoughts that are inspiring thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we get those all the time. And I know it's part of like, are we listening to them, or are we doubting them? Because inspiring thoughts, I truly feel that are definitely coming from God to tell us, go ahead and go get this done. This is for you. And sometimes we don't have that confidence that we need to take that step because of what? Because of our beliefs, right?
Completely. That's when we come to the inside job, because the inside job, part of the inside job is we need to cleanse our thoughts in that we have already trained, our parents were trained by the grandparents and everybody else. They told us we could do what we could not do. So we have a preset mind. So now we're of age. Now we can make our own decisions, that we can know what's good for us or not. And what you find is that when you face any fears that you have, next you know, you realize that was a ghost. There was nothing to fear about. Need to face your fears, need to go out there and see if there's really something there. If not, once you remove all those fears, you'll be able to make those decisions that you want, and you'll be able to remain positive and just continue. And next you know, watch all your desires come to life.
Absolutely. And we say that fear is false evidence of appearing real. So it's definitely going against those fears and testing them out for yourself versus listening to the outside world, but actually going inside and listening to your own voice and taking action. Because if you ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen? What's the very worst thing that can happen if I take this chance and I do it? right? And that's believing in yourself. And like you said, it's an inside job. And I truly feel that if we begin to have more, if we look at the inside of what we want, if we think of the thoughts of what we truly, authentically want for us, not what our families want, but what we want for ourselves, then we can be so happy to provide whatever the family wants. But first, we have to provide it to ourselves, whether it's love, whether it's kindness, whether it's your dreams. It all comes down to that. We need to take care of ourselves first. And then the outside world will seem so different and shape to what we want, what we want to see. Right? Because we control what we see in our destiny and reality through our thoughts.
I think I want to read something out loud to everyone. It says, no man can become a master of anything or anyone until he becomes a master of his thoughts.
Absolutely.
So what the takeaway from here is that when it comes to your thoughts, it's an inside job. You receive seeds, positive seeds, negative seeds. Forget the negative seeds. You're gonna sow what you sow. So you need to stay positive with anything and everything you do. In order to change your being and all, you have to realize that yourself consciously, you have to make that decision that you want to change. And then you can, through auto suggestion, you can tell your subconscious mind, this is what I want. This is what I want. Don't forget, as I said, your subconscious mind is the believers. If you don't mind, I'm just going to do my best impression of Reverend Ike. Is that okay?
Oh my God, go for it. Go for it.
Your subconscious mind is the believer. And whatever you can impress up in your subconscious mind, the conscious mind, the visualization is the bridge that goes from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. Now, if you can come into an agreement with what it is that your conscious mind wants, you come to an agreement. It's like you're really working with God right there. You're saying, God, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to do, so on and so forth. If you come to an agreement, then once you come out, if you can actually start seeing it, you start feeling it as if they already have received it. Next thing you know, it's going to be like when I was looking for my wife. Next thing you know, oh my God, she cooks, she does this, she does all of those things. Although my wife, the deal that I have with her was this: you will never cook for me, you will never have to do laundry or any of those things, and I have kept my promise. The one thing she didn't know is that she was going to have to work 24/7. She works with me. She's awesome. She's completely awesome. But so the way Reverend Ike finishes this is he's saying that once you start feeling it and seeing and everything, you will realize that God's ways are so much better than what you had originally planned. What you planned, what your desire was a beta version. Something that you probably saw in a comic book. God, meantime, he has this huge thing. He has version 30.2, so on and so forth. You're talking beta, and say, wow, it does this also. Wow. God wants to wow you. God wants to wow you. Why? Because he loves for you. He wants you to go out there and tell the world, look at what happened to me. And how did it happen? Well, I believed in God. I believed in God, and he gave this to me. I asked him for it. You take it. You have one from me right here. I opened up a company, a huge company, Mayor, Bloomberg, sales chef, everything, the whole 9 yards. And I was left with the doors open. Why? Because you can throw the ego in there. I had the CPA license. I had the money. Since I had those things, I didn't need to ask God. That's the worst mistake you can make. That's the worst mistake that I've made. Please, God, include God in anything and everything that you wish for, you will see how he will reply. And the way Reverend Ike will tell you is that, hey, don't come here asking me for $300, because the same God that's going to give you those $300, he'll give you $300,000. So he's not going to waste his time giving you the $300. He will pray for you to get the $300,000, not the 300. Pray for something big, because God wants you to be happy. Nothing that the great Reverend Michael says, that do not forget, your heavenly Father is the King. You are the son of a king. Walk straight. You have royalty blood in you. Okay? Think like that. You deserve it. Demand it. Demand it. It is yours. Thank you very much.
That's beautiful. And that is so true. And I love that question of Reverend Ike, because, he speaks the truth. He speaks the truth. And for those who want to listen and embrace it and use it, I know you and I both have seen what others may call miracles in our lives, but it's really because we have faith that everything we do, God, call it God, and the universe, whatever fits. But the truth of the matter is, we know that there's a higher power in charge, and as long as we believe in that, then we know that we are in good hands, right? And you mentioned the ego before with your situation, and ego is known as, I've learned, earth guided only. Okay. When we're using the ego and thinking that we are here on earth to just do everything on our own, and not think that there is God involved in what we do, we lose that connection. I truly feel that that's where we start to run into problems. On a personal level, I pray so much to God when I had cancer than I did prior. Yes, I always believe God is there, and I'm Catholic. I was raised Catholic. But until I full faith that I said, if you keep me alive, I promise to change. And that's what I did. And I promise to change. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And having faith is letting go, having gratitude for what you already have, because you will receive whatever you need, and trusting that it will come to you, is applying the faith. So I appreciate your story, because I can definitely relate, and I do know now more than ever that keeping faith, love, and gratitude in everything we do is the way of our prayers being answered. Right? And providing service for the heart. And that's what we're doing here in Napoleon Hill. This is what we do with the people that we serve, is really working from the heart to show them that we're no different. We're just the same.
Yes, no.
We
have to invite God in everything that we do completely. When you pray to God, he has to be nice and slow, and assume that he's right here, right now. Yeah. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Right here. That's what we know. He's our heavenly Father, and he's here with us. We're going to talk about the God within us one day, so we can talk about that as well. And then another thing that what we do is, when we do our prayers, the first thing that we should always do is thank God. Thank God for everything that we have. Thank God for everything. Family, friends, work, everything. And then you can continue thanking God for the desire that he has already given you, because you know it's on the way, because he's given it to you. It is God's desire to grant you your every wish, because You are his child.
That's
God
right.
wants to give you his kingdom. And I completely believe in that.
I believe in that too. I also believe in that. I'm going to end with a philosophy of success that was written by John Gandhi, right? He said, in regards to mastering your thoughts for success, he says, keep your beliefs positive because your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. Your values become your destiny. It is so important that our thoughts and our words really shape our destiny. And Pablo, I thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today on the show. And I know you're coming back because we're going to talk about the mastery of your words for success. Because thoughts and words truly shape our destiny. And when we control what we think and what we say, then we become the master of our destiny. So thank you everyone for joining me today on Sparking Change with Gigi. Pablo, thank you again for joining us. And we'll talk to you next week. Thank you everyone.
I thank you very much, Gigi. Thanks, everyone. Okay, I am here to serve. Okay?
Thank you. And so am I. Thank you, Pablo.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change with Gigi. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchange.now.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on Sparking Change with Gigi.